Hi, I saw in yesterday's video that this was all buttoned down, so we're buttoned up again. And in this video, I'm going to teach you how to clear and neutralize a negative memory. Now, often the emotions that we have from day to day are excessive, and when that happens, it's often that a negative memory from the past gets triggered. And so you respond to a normal day-to-day situation with excessive negative emotion. So someone gives you a certain look or ignores you or whatever, and you feel this massive sting of rejection. That's actually not you responding to that situation, but it's all trauma that comes up for you with which you then respond to the situation. So, you know, if you were rejected by your dad when you were 6 years old, and he came home from work and he was in a really bad mood, and you did something and he snapped at you, that can become a trauma, and that's then lodged in your procedural memory. And now you're in a normal situation in your day-to-day life, and someone ignores you, and your subconscious mind, your generalizing subconscious mind, perceives that to be the same as what happened with your dad, and boom, you get the same feelings of rejection back. So often we respond to day-to-day situations with excessive emotion, and that's because of negative memories. Okay, so traumatic negative memories or negative life experiences. So I'm not going to teach you the full on everything. I'm just going to teach you the basics of how to do this. Okay, so it's pretty simple. So first, you come up with a negative memory, and then once you have that negative memory, okay, here's a way to do that. Say you're triggered by something that happened today. Say that you met up with someone, and let's use the same example. You felt a massive sting of rejection. When you then close your eyes and you think back to what happened, and you go back to that moment, you see what you saw, you hear what you heard, and you feel what you felt, then you can probably bring that feeling of rejection back. As you then feel that rejection, just notice where you feel it in your body. You might feel it in your chest, you might feel it in your stomach, you might feel it in multiple places, it doesn't matter. Just notice where you feel it. And then give it a color, just the first thing that comes to mind. Doesn't matter, if you don't know, make it up and it'll still work. And then, if it has a temperature, what temperature is it? If you don't know, just guess. It's a very easy technique. And if you do it wrong, it still works. And then as you know where you feel that rejection in your body, and you notice the temperature of it, measure how strong it is for you, 0 to 10. And as you're really focused in on it, just ask yourself, when do I remember feeling this way? Or, what's the earliest time I can remember feeling this way? And then just notice what happens. You can tap on your collarbone as you're doing this. Just ask that question, and what typically happens is a thought will come up or a memory will pop up, and often it's very vague, sometimes it's very vivid, but something will come to mind, and that's a memory. Typically, or it's an image, but let's just assume it's a memory. Give that a name, and in order to give it a name, just complete this sentence. The time when, the time when Dad snapped at me. Okay, so now you have a title, now you have a memory. Let's use red. This implies a memory, obviously. So the time when Dad snapped at me. Now, this might have happened when you were 16 years old, this might have happened when you were 4 years old. Doesn't really matter when, though the earlier the memory, the better, because that's where most of the trauma is held. Anyway, so now you have the memory. What you now want to do is you simply want to rate it from 0 to 10. So we come back to the SUDS scale. The SUDS scale, subjective unit of distress. Rate it from 0 to 10. And then simply start tapping and verbalize that phrase, Dad snapped at me, Dad snapped at me, Dad snapped at me, Dad snapped at me. And do that 2 full rounds. And then take a breath and notice how it feels. Typically, if you start out with a SUDS level of, say, 8 out of 10, that will have dropped significantly to maybe a 5 or a 4. Once you're at that point, now you want to start telling the story of what happened. So, you know, I'm just making up a random example. You know, I was sitting in my room, minding my own business, and, you know, Dad came home, and, you know, I walked up to him, and, you know, he turned around, and he says, "No!" You know, whatever happened. You just tell the story, and as you tell the story, you just tap over all of the points. Okay, and once you're at the end of the story, measure where you are now. So you might start out with an 8 out of 10. Then, you know, you just focus on the phrase, Dad snapped at me, Dad snapped at me. Do that 2 rounds. Now you might be at a 4. And now you start telling the actual story of what happened. And you tell the story. And what you might find is as you get more specific in that story, that 4 will spike up to an 8. Because in most memories, there's a crescendo. Or several crescendos. So this is, say, duration of memory. And this will be like emotional intensity. And say that this is 10, this is 0, and this is, you know, time, whatever. Right, so you might start telling the story, and you start here at a 4. You start telling the story, well, you know, I was in my room, and blah, 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 nothing was going on, and then Dad came home. Now it might spike up a little bit. And then, you know, I went over to Dad, and he turned around, and he said, "No!" Now you might spike up big time, okay? You know, you tap, 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 focus, concentrate, do the tapping, and now you go on to, you know, whatever happened after that. Oh, and then I was crying, and I was really sad, tap, 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 tap. And then when I went to my mom pushed me away as well. Boom, now it spikes up again. Okay, so you have these crescendos. What you do with these crescendos is you simply focus on them, you concentrate on them, and you do the tapping. And so you go through that memory, and you tap, 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 you tell the story, and after you've told the story, you might find that it's not a 4 anymore, but it's a 2. Great, do it again. Start from the beginning, tell it again. And then, you know, keep going until there's no emotional intensity anymore. Once there's 0 emotional intensity, close your eyes. Imagine that you're there. Imagine, you know, if it happened when you were 7 years old, imagine that you're 7-year-old. See what you saw, hear what you heard, feel what you felt, and really try to get yourself upset. See if you can get yourself upset about that memory. And if there's still something there, great. Tap it out. Okay? So in this way you can easily clear out a memory. Now this is the super basics, but this is how you go about it. So hope that's been helpful, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.